The way fantasy football has been the last 2 weeks, your team might need some serious fixing, and there's no better way to do that than through a great trade. I'm going to give you 10 players I think are great buy lows right now. I'm going to show you how they're being valued exactly by the fantasy football community right now. I'm going to tell you why they're a buy low, but most importantly, I'm going to give you some recommendations of players you can trade away to go get these guys. These are players that can help your team rest the season, recover if you've been hit by injuries. Speaking of helping rest the season, if we've helped you at all this season, we ask one small favor from you. Please hit that subscribe button down below. We're on the road to 100K subscribers this year. I know we can do it. There are a lot of people who watch this channel regularly that are not subscribed. If you're one of those people, do us a massive solid. Take 1 second, hit that subscribe button. All right, as usual, I'm using Fantasy Calc for my valuations here. They look at millions of trades across tons of leagues to determine how fantasy players like you and I are actually valuing these guys. So I've identified some guys in this list that I think are being undervalued right now and some overvalued players we could trade away. Let's start kind of high up on the list here with a couple wide receivers that I think are great buy lows right now, Davante Adams and Rashee Rice. I'll start with Rashee Rice because I don't really have a ton of advanced stats to throw at you like I normally do with players, reasons why I like him. This is just a guy we know is a good football player in a good offense. Look, if we learned anything on Sunday with Xavier Worthy healthy, we saw what this offense could be. Imagine this offense when Rashee Rice is back into it. And remember, this guy is coming off a suspension. He wasn't injured. He's not coming back from a major injury or anything like that. Got 2 more games before Rashee Rice is eligible to return and will return. If the player in your league has Rashee Rice and he is struggling right now, or she is struggling right now and needs to make a move, and you're in a good place, maybe you're 4-0, 3-1, 2-2, but you feel like you have a good team or at least good wide receivers, this is a great time to go buy low on Rashee Rice, before it gets to the point where it's like, hey, he's going to be back next week and no one's selling anymore. And then Davante Adams, to me, is one of the best buy lows in all of fantasy football right now. Did not have a monster game here in week 4, but had another very solid game. But look, this guy is third among all wide receivers in expected fantasy points. He only has 3 less expected fantasy points than Puka Nacua right now. He's in this Rams offense, and this is an offense you want wide receivers in. Obviously, you're not going to get Puka Nacua. You can't go buy low on Puka Nacua, but you can go buy low on Davante Adams. He hasn't really popped off this year, had many big games. Remember, week 1, he had to go against Derek Stingley. Week 3, he had to go against Quinyon Mitchell. This week, with not great corners, we saw his potential, and it should only get better. This Rams offense basically only throws the ball to Puka Nacua and Davante Adams, and this is an offense that's gold for wide receivers. Look, Puka Nacua probably going to be the number 1 wide receiver this year unless he gets hurt, but Davante Adams certainly has a chance to be top 15, maybe even top 10. Go out and get him now before he does have that massive game and the buy low closes. And going back to the chart here, looking at players that are being valued maybe higher than these guys or right around these guys, Kyren Williams. Look, we're seeing Blake Corum start to inch closer and closer to Kyren Williams here. If I can trade Kyren Williams, if I'm deep at running back and I don't need Kyren Williams, I'd absolutely trade him for either of these guys. And then right above them here, A.J. Brown. Yeah, look, we've seen one good half from A.J. Brown this year. That is it. This Eagles offense, I don't know is going to support A.J. Brown to be a high-end wide receiver week in and week out. Yes, he'll have some big games still because he's a good player, but man, I'd rather just have Rice or Davante Adams right now. And then you see right below them here, Alvin Kamara. This is a great time to sell high on Alvin Kamara. He has name value. He's been, okay to start the year. Not great, but he's been okay. If somebody needs running back help in your league and they didn't realize that Kendre Miller really closed the gap here in week 4, this is a great time to sell high on Alvin Kamara before the gap becomes even closer, maybe even a 50-50, maybe even Kendre Miller is the 1A. All right, let's move down a little bit further here. Got a couple running backs and a wide receiver. That's going to be Quinshon Judkins, Ted McMillan, and Javonte Williams. And let's start with Quinshon Judkins. I mean, this guy legitimately looking like a league winner to me. Right now ranks 13th among all running backs in expected fantasy points per game, despite not even playing week 1 and in week 2 only playing 19 snaps. But look at it over the last 2 games when he's had his full, usage, snaps, workload. He's the RB7 in expected fantasy points per game. And despite being in this terrible Browns offense, despite, not putting up monster games, despite not ripping off highlight reel runs, this guy has been fantastic in real life and for fantasy. And you got to think it's only going to get better because rookies tend to get better as the year goes on. This guy looks like an absolute beast right now. It almost doesn't even matter the matchup. It doesn't matter he's stuck in this terrible offense. But because he is stuck in this terrible offense, not getting a lot of hype right now, right? Most fantasy players who aren't like really paying attention, like you are obviously, haven't really noticed because, again, the Browns, they don't get coverage. Again, no splash plays here. Yeah, he scored, but it was like a short little touchdown. Lots of running backs do that. I think there's still an opportunity to buy low here. I told you to buy low last week, but I think the opportunity is still here. And then Ted McMillan, I think I've put this guy on the buy low almost every week this year. And look, it hasn't happened yet. That big game hasn't happened yet, but the signs are there that it's going to happen. And again, we know rookies get better as the season goes on. I think the offense here will get better as the season goes on. He's now 11th in expected fantasy points per game. Remember last week, he was 15th. So he actually got better usage this week. It just hasn't happened. This was a tough matchup this week. Christian Gonzalez returned, one of the best shutdown corners in the NFL. Better days are ahead for Ted McMillan. Look, this isn't a guy you're going to trade for right now and maybe, get dividends right away from this guy. But this is a long play, a guy I think could absolutely help you win your championships down the stretch, after those bye weeks in the second half when we see rookies really come on. And then it's really shocking to me that Javonte Williams isn't being valued way higher than this. I mean, this guy is 4th among all running backs in expected fantasy points per game. He ranks 3rd among all running backs in success rate. This guy has been good. Like, legitimately, he has been good, and he's in a good offense. We even saw there on, Sunday night, even without CeeDee Lamb, this is still a high-powered offense. And yes, it's a bad defense, which means they throw a lot, but they still run so many plays. There's still opportunities here for Javonte. He's been so good. This is like an upside RB2 with RB1, potential every single week, not being valued that way. Again, looking at players being valued higher than these guys. A.J. Brown, again, I will trade A.J. Brown for any of these guys. Even Ted. Yes, even Ted. Because really at this point, can we even say A.J. Brown is safer than Ted? I don't think so. And again, Alvin Kamara already talked about it. This is a great time to sell high before people figure out that the Kendre Miller takeover may be happening. And look, I love Cam Skattebo. I talked up Cam Skattebo all offseason. I think Cam Skattebo is going to be a good football player, but he's in this Giants offense that now teams are just going to stack the box against him. Not to mention, Tyrone Tracy is not out for the season. Tracy will be back. So as much as I like Skattebo, I'd prefer these guys. And then Jordan Mason, I know he's coming off a down game, so maybe the sell high isn't as high as it would be, but he's still the starting running back in Minnesota. People still remember what he did in San Francisco last year, but I don't think they're remembering that Aaron Jones is also not out for the season. Aaron Jones will be back. If I could sell Jordan Mason high for these guys, I'm doing it. All right, let's move down a tier here. Some guys that I think can be great flex, upside flex plays for your fantasy team rest of the season, and that's going to be Chris Godwin, Matthew Golden, Jameson Williams, and Bill. These guys I think are all going to be weekly upside flex plays. I know I've talked about Matthew Golden a lot. I know it didn't happen this week. I was really hoping against the Cowboys he would pop off, have a big game. Instead, it was Romeo Doubs with 3 touchdowns, because why not? But, I mean, look at his usage in week 4. I mean, okay, 65% of the routes. We'd like to see that higher, but, I mean, there's only 3 less routes than Romeo Doubs and Tucker Kraft here. But he had a 33% air yard share here, had 6 targets, only 2 less than Romeo Doubs, had a 12.4 expected fantasy points. And remember, he's a rookie. He's going to get better. This offense looks good. Jordan Love looks good. Not worried about it. Again, more of a long play here because he is a rookie. May take some time here, but I still think this is a guy that down the stretch can absolutely carry your team to a fantasy championship, help get you over the hump if you're looking for that upside wide receiver 3 flex play. And then so much for Godwin being limited in his first game back. My goodness, 86% of the routes, 9 targets in this game, a 40% air yard share. Now, it didn't result in much, and that's why I think he's still a great buy low here, because he just came back from injury, did nothing in this game, and now people are like, yeah, this guy, okay, Mike Evans is going to be back. Buka's the wide receiver 1 right now. Well, what do I need Chris Godwin for? But remember, he's just coming back from injury. He's going to get better. And this offense, they're going to chuck it. They're going to throw it down the field. They're going to take shots. Baker Mayfield is not scared to take shots here. I think Chris Godwin still has a ton of upside. Again, if you're looking for that wide receiver 3 or flex with upside, Godwin's got to be one of your best bets right now. And then don't sleep on Jameson Williams. I know it's gotten off to a very slow start. Only had like a 12% target share going into that week 4 game. But we saw a big change in week 4. I mean, look at this. 92% of the routes, 71% air yard share, and led the team in targets. Also 19.5 expected fantasy points in this game. This is what Jameson Williams brings to the table. Again, if you're looking for that upside flex, upside wide receiver 3, this guy has it, and hopefully this is a sign of things to come. Because remember, OC John Morton talked this guy up all offseason that he was going to have a monster year. We haven't seen it yet. Maybe we're finally starting to see it here. So again, you can get this guy relatively cheap right now, and he gives you week winning upside. And then I mentioned that Javonte Williams is third among all running backs in success rate this year. You know who's number 1? It's Bill, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. I gotta think that eventually he's going to just earn more touches. I thought maybe this week it could be the week, but again, he was dealing with that knee injury. Maybe that kind of limited him this week. I know we saw it's like he had 20 snaps, Chris Rodriguez had 20 snaps, Jeremy McNichols had 19. It's like a very frustrating three-headed monster right now. But I really believe that the cream eventually rises to the top. And again, he's a rookie. He's got to earn the trust. We didn't see Bucky Irving just take over the backfield last year. It'll take a little while. But this is another guy that could be a second half hammer for your fantasy team. So if you don't need Bill right away right now, he's a great buy low. If you can stash him on your bench and hope that he starts to get more involved as the season goes on, I think he's gotta. And now when we look at players being valued higher than these guys or right around these guys, DeAndre Swift, look, he scored again this week. He's been semi-productive, but man, it has not been good for DeAndre Swift this year. If I can trade this guy right now, I'm doing it. And if someone believes in DJ Moore, rebounding in this offense, because they're like, well, the offense is good, he's got to get better. Hey, get me out from under DJ Moore right now. I would absolutely take that trade. And I hate to say it, but RJ Harvey, maybe it could still happen for him down the stretch. But I'm really feeling like without a J.K. Dobbins injury, what's the potential for RJ Harvey here? If you need help right now, it might be better just to go get one of these guys. If you can hold RJ Harvey, sure, hold him. But if you're 1-3 right now, 0-4, and you need points right now, go ahead, trade RJ Harvey. And then finally, the last name I'm going to mention here, Stefon Diggs. I mean, almost free, right? Almost free, way down here on the list. We finally saw the big game this week, but what I really am encouraged by, not the big game, because random guys pop off with big game. I mean, look, Wan'Dale Robinson, Troy Franklin, Trey Tucker, 3 straight weeks. These guys all had big games and then did nothing the next week. There's no guarantee that Stefon Diggs is this good rest of the season, but what I'm encouraged by is starting to get, more snaps, play more, looking healthier. You look at his usage in week 4 here, 77% of the routes tied with Hunter Henry, had a 63% air yard share. That's fantastic. By far led the team in targets with 7. You gotta believe that when this guy is fully healthy, he's easily the number 1 wide receiver in this offense. I talked up Stefon Diggs as kind of like a sleeper pick all off season long. Did not get a great start to the season coming off that ACL injury, but starting to look more healthy. You got to think it's only going to get better and better for Stefon Diggs from here. And look, he did nothing the first 3 weeks. People are going to think, hey, I'm selling high on Stefon Diggs. He went off this week. Get him off my team. But I think you're actually buying low. And when we look at players valued above him, I mean, there's a ton of guys I would trade away here. I'm not going to deep dive into all these guys, but like Ramondre Stevenson, barely holding down the 1A job there. Cooper Kupp, like what's the upside here for Cooper Kupp? Travis Hunter just doesn't look like it's happening. Pacheco, no. I mean, Daniel Jones, if like Daniel Jones is your QB2, maybe because when Jaden Daniels got hurt, you picked him up. Yeah, go ahead, give me Diggs. Same with like tight ends like Hawkinson. Yeah, I'll take Diggs here for sure. All right, there you go. Some of my favorite buy lows heading into week 5. Go make some trades. Go fix your fantasy team. And of course, make sure you stay tuned to Fantasy Endgame all week long. We got the content you need to dominate and win. And of course, if you're not subscribed yet and you're enjoying the content, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button real quick. We appreciate it.